How's it going, people? For today's video, we're going to take a look at the new enemies and new modes that's coming to LEGO Fortnite. And it's expected to come with a patch that's going to be released on June 13th, which is this Thursday. And everything I'm about to go over, I got from the patch notes, which I'll leave a link to in the description. Alright, so the first thing they said was, maybe you like combat, but want it to be a little easier so you can build, farm, and feel mighty. That's where the new cozy mode comes in. Perhaps for you, survival mode was just the start. Do you have what it takes to face fiercer foes? Think you can up your game against regular enemies? And above all, are you willing to take on these challenges with the risk of permanent elimination? Test how unbreakable you are in LEGO Fortnite's new expert mode. And again, both of these modes will be available on June 13th. Next thing they talked about was the new cozy mode. Whether you're a beginner survivor or a builder who likes a little bit of a thrill, cozy mode's up your alley. Create a world and get greeted by Slumber, a friendly face who will guide you through your journey step by step. So if you do create a new world in cozy mode, you should be greeted by Slumber. Cozy mode is a nice mix of survival and sandbox mode. If that sounds like your thing, choose cozy mode when creating a new world. These are the default settings if you choose cozy mode. They can all be changed. So in cozy mode, enemies will be turned on. Enemy difficulty, which is a new setting, will be set to easy. Storm wild enemies, which is another new setting and new enemy type, will also be turned off in cozy mode. Hunger, temperature, stamina, friendly damage, power system, drop inventory whenever you get killed will all be turned off. Player elimination will be set to respawn, but friendly creatures and villagers and regular enemies will be turned on. So again, the two new settings are enemy difficulty and storm wild enemies, which we'll take a look at here in a second. The important thing I want to point out with cozy mode is that all of these settings that we just went over, they can be changed even after you start your world. Next thing they went over were the storm wild enemies. It says afraid of wild wolves? Well, now there are even wilder wolves. In expert mode, creatures infected by a storm roam with creatures who haven't been infected. Where did this storm come from? These storm wild enemies deal more damage, have more health, and move faster than regular enemies. If you're not prepared to face them, running away won't be easy. So these new storm wild enemies will only be available in expert mode, and they're going to move faster, have more health, and deal more damage than regular enemies. And here's the picture of a storm wild brute, and here's a list of all of the storm wild enemies. So we're going to have a new blaster, bone wolf, brute, frost roller, frost scorpion, frost wolf, storm wild hermit crab, sand brute, sand roller, sand scorpion, sand spider, sand wolf. And we're also going to have storm wild scorpion, scoundrels, spider, stone roller, and the storm wild wolf. Wild wolf. I shouldn't have said it. The wild wolf. The storm wild wolf. Alright. Regular enemies will also be stronger in expert mode compared to the other modes, even if they aren't storm wild. So even the regular enemies will be tougher in expert mode. And there's also a perma-elimination. It says here, we should warn you, losing all your hearts in a world where expert mode is on will make you permanently eliminated from that world. Got involved in a bad situation? If your inventory has a totem of return, when you lose all your hearts, you'll revive in your bed with your backpack. This totem will destroy itself though, a small cost for escaping permanent elimination. So just to clarify, if you die in a world that has expert mode turned on, you'll be permanently eliminated from that world unless you have a totem of return. The totem of return charm isn't available yet. I assume it'll become available once the update is out. But in order to unlock the recipe for this totem of return, you're gonna have to add a storm core to your inventory, and you get storm cores from storm wild enemies. So the only way you can get this totem of return is if you're playing in a world that has the expert mode turned on, because that's the only way you can get storm wild enemies. But yeah, that's how you unlock the totem of return. And I would consider that charm to be necessary if you plan on playing in an expert world, because again, if you die without it, you'll get permanently eliminated. They then went on to say that the totem of the immortal will also be in expert mode. And here's everything you'll need to craft the totem of the immortal. Basically, this charm allows you to revive after taking lethal damage, and it destroys itself when used. If you do get eliminated with neither of these charms equipped, you can still hop into any non-expert world, or you can make a new expert world, but you won't be able to return to the expert world that you died in. So what happens to the old one? Key holders will still have a shot at survival unless you delete it. So that's what happens when you die in an expert world. There's also going to be new trophies, and here's what those trophies look like. You'll be able to earn these trophies in expert mode. This first one's the Grasslands trophy. You unlock by defeating a Stormwild Brute in the Grasslands and then interacting with the level 10 Grasslands village. The second one's the Dry Valley trophy. Unlocked by defeating a Stormwild Sand Brute, then interacting with the level 10 Dry Valley village. And the third one is the Frostlands trophy. Unlocked by defeating a Stormwild Frost Brute, then interacting with a level 10 Frostlands village. I kind of wish you could show off these trophies in your other worlds, because although I do plan on making an expert world and getting these trophies, I don't plan on making that my primary world. I'm pretty much only going to use that expert world to level up the 3 different villages so we can get these trophies and unlock the new charm. I don't really plan on spending too much time there because, again, once you die, you'll no longer be able to access that world. So hopefully they allow us to bring these trophies to other worlds, because if you can only view these trophies in your expert world, I feel like you're not going to be able to view it often unless you make that your primary world, which I don't plan on doing because I've already spent way too much time in my current primary LEGO world. But yeah, hopefully they'll allow us to craft those trophies in other worlds. Otherwise, it's pretty much pointless in my opinion. The next thing they went over were the expert mode default settings. Choose expert mode when creating a new world. When creating a world, these are the default settings if you select expert. Enemies will be turned on and that cannot be changed. Enemy difficulty, which again is one of the new settings, will be set to hard and that cannot be changed. Stormwild enemies, which is another new setting, will be turned on and that can't be changed. Hunger, temperature, and stamina will all be turned on and can't be changed. Player elimination will be permanent. Drop inventory upon elimination will be turned on. Friendly creatures, villagers, and the power system will all be turned on. Friendly damage will be turned off, but this will be able to be changed even after you make your world. And you'll also have village animals removed on elimination, and that'll be turned on and that can't be changed. So those are all the settings that come with the new expert mode, and we'll be sure to take a look at it on Twitch on Thursday, which is when the update comes out. Last thing they went over were major improvements, adjustments, and bug fixes, as well as new LEGO styles. So the first thing they went over was low memory versus too many constructs nearby. Before Thursday, you may have seen a high complexity warning in your world, limiting your ability to build. Thursday's patch will clarify whether this is because of low memory or too many constructs nearby. If you get a low memory or too many constructs nearby notification, here's how you can try continuing normal play. For low memory, you'll have to try reducing your overall constructs, the number of unique constructs or items and creatures. Moving away from dense areas or exiting and re-entering the world can help too. The amount of memory available depends on the platform you're playing on. With the too many constructs nearby notification, you can try spreading out constructs over larger areas. You can also try using larger building parts rather than smaller ones to achieve a similar result. And building in a different location or removing constructs you no longer want can also help. So it doesn't sound like they're actually increasing the build limit with this update. They're more or less just going to explain why you're getting close to the build limit. I still would like to see for them to try to increase that limit if possible. There were a couple of other adjustments. See, villagers in the Rebel Village will no longer count towards the World Villager cap. So none of these villagers will count towards the cap after Thursday's update. The World Villager count in the Village Hub will display the correct number of villagers. So they should show the correct villager count after Thursday's update. And what the hell is going on with my RAM? Is this one of those new Stormwild enemies? Because Diva is wowling right now. Skeletons will be less likely to spawn in villages. Lava caves on Star Wars Island will now have rubies, which they didn't have up to this point. Animals will do a better job of avoiding campfires, and wolves learned how to swim. And the last thing they went over were all of the new LEGO styles. And there was a huge list, so I'm not going to go over these individually. But I will leave a link to the patch notes in the description if you want to check this list out. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of skins added to LEGO Fortnite with Thursday's update. And that sums up everything that was in the patch notes. Let me know what you think about the new expert and comfy modes, as well as the storm wild enemies and the new trophy. Before I go, I did want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been using creator code A1. Anyways, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.